Hello, my name is Dr. Carl Candlepun, and in this special episode of My Lost Podcast, I host a post-screening discussion of Season 1, Episode 9, Solitary. This discussion features first-time viewers, and as such, does not feature any spoilers beyond that point in the show. However, if you have not seen at least to this point in the series, I highly recommend you do so first before proceeding with this podcast. But without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so we just finished episode 9, Solitary. What did you guys think of the episode? Let's start there.
I liked it.
I was a fan.
You were a fan? Okay.
Yeah, well, because I think last week I even said, I like how Sayid is, he feels like he's the only one actually propelling the overarching plot forward.
Yeah.
Which we got a lot of plot this week.
Yeah.
I was thinking as we were watching this, I was remembering that you said that, and I was like, man, he was right.
Just hanging out. Like,
Saeed's the one off, getting stuff. Getting mythology established. What I was wondering was if you guys would not like the episode or find it frustrating because, there's a whole lot of mystery established and not a whole lot of payoff. It's a lot of setup in that regard.
Mine's a whole big old box of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with mystery.
Okay,
so,
cool.
I just thought it was good.
but I think you've talked about before how it's a
Yeah.
concern of yours dragged out.
And it's funny you mentioned it, because as I was thinking about the episode, as you were just kind of talking, I was like, you know what? I just said, I like him because he progresses the plot, but also, a whole lot of plot actually didn't progress. We just have now new things to wonder about.
Have golf.
We know there was a boat crash and she killed her other boat mates allegedly, but then also there's the others, whatever that means, and apparently it has something to do with hearing whispering. Mm-hmm. At least I think,
Which apparently seems to be real and not her being crazy, right. Which I appreciate. I'm always a fan of the crazy woman not actually being crazy.
Well, no, because she talks about her team getting sick and that she killed them and all that. Basically, what I'm wondering is, did you think she was crazy when she's talking about the whispering, and then did that kind of carry over to killing her team? Did you think she was crazy then?
No, I didn't think she was crazy.
You thought they were actually sick?
Yeah, I thought there was actually whispers, yeah. Especially because how obvious Sayid was it was oh, come on, no. But yeah.
Sure. But when she said she killed her team,
yeah.
Did you also not think that was...
Yeah, I didn't think she was crazy.
Okay. But maybe
she was. But
do you think she's crazy? Do you think she's crazy now?
No. I think she's been alone for a really long time. But I don't think. I think the whispers are obviously real.
No. Well. Yeah, I'm not.
Presumably.
I'm not debating that. Sayid hears whispers at the end. Yeah, that is undeniable. Now, he could be in rough shape and he could be imagining them, but that would be disappointing, I'm sure.
That would be. No, I don't think so. I don't think she's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just mean the way she's acting. It's understandable, given that 16 years in isolation, complete isolation. She's kind of erratic in her treatment of Sayid.
But wouldn't you be erratic?
That's what that's literally what I said. Was it's completely understandable.
I know. I just mean I don't think it makes her crazy that she's erratic.
Well, yeah. The terminology we go around in circles, but again, I think anybody acting that way, let's get rid of the word crazy.
Are you talking about the torturing?
The torturing, and then just kind of she clearly wants to believe him, but she's so hesitant. Yeah, and so she kind of jumps back and forth between oh, I'm so sorry, and then well, I have to drug you if I'm going to move you, and
I feel like that's just smart, not crazy.
No, yeah,
because
sure.
What if he was just trying to screw her over? He did end up unlocking.
She's literally trying to keep him from leaving her. I feel like the word crazy is maybe what we're getting hung up on. But
are you calling me crazy?
No.
No, I just genuinely don't. I think that the torturing is obviously a bit much, but but other than that, I feel like she's I feel like it makes sense. Like, I feel like...
Yeah, again, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense that she is the way that she is or that she's acting the way that she is. I'm just saying that, like, she does not, at the end, she's holding him at gunpoint. She's like, I cannot let you leave, because to have somebody to touch and talk to and all that, he's able to get through to her to a degree. She still doesn't agree to come back with him for whatever reason.
She said She said he needed to watch them.
Yeah,
so it might be that
closely.
she's worried about being around people because of whatever happened with her team.
Right. So is that how you took when she says watch them closely? Did you take that to be in reference to the sickness?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of the idea of like, just, and this is of course me assuming that once people start hearing the others, at least what I assume is, I'm just calling it the others.
Sure.
I don't actually know what it is. Like, once people start hearing that is when maybe they start going a little bit out of their minds a little bit. So I was wondering if, like, watch them is like, hey, be on the lookout for people starting to act erratic.
Yeah.
So is that what you think? Because like when she says sickness, I think when I first saw it, like I thought fever type thing, like, oh, it's highly contagious. So what if we got rescued? I couldn't let that happen. But you seem to be suggesting that it's more of like a mental illness thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially since she shot Robert.
Yeah. Well, but that would imply that she herself is sick. Or no, I misunderstood.
No, yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, she was assuming Robert was
Got you.
the one actually, kind of crazy, and so
Yeah. Okay.
from the voices.
I got that
But
too, that it could be like an actual sickness, or it could just be like watch them because as you're there for a longer time, like people can just kind of like go a little crazy when you're stuck. So it could be either.
Yeah. Well, so an interesting thing that you said there, though, is you correlated the hearing the voices to being sick. She clearly establishes that she herself has heard the whispers. So does that mean that she is sick? According to this train of thought.
I mean, I guess it would depend, on what the voices are actually telling her
Mm-hmm.
and how influenced she can be by them, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, and also whether the sickness is them hearing the voices, or if the sickness is them doing something as a result of hearing the voices, or the sickness could be just from being there for a long time.
Yeah, she calls the others, which is what she's saying, that this whispering that she hears is them. That's what she's calling it, is the others. She calls them the carriers. So yeah, she obviously, again, she's attributing the sickness to these voices, and that somehow causes the sickness. Okay, any thoughts about what the Black Rock meant?
I mean, granted, she didn't say it, but I just assume it's a location on the island,
Yeah.
like a rocky.
Well, she did say we were coming back from the Black Rock, so yeah.
Presumably it's a
peak
place
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a very
probably
Probably black.
Yeah.
very like H.P. Lovecraft kind of sounding place. I think there's
Yeah. I'm assuming it's not Black Rock, the corporation.
find out.
I think the last thing that she says that I want to ask you guys about is Alex.
Her child.
Yeah, what was your understanding of what that means? Like,
I thought it was funny that Sayid always called Alex a him, but she never actually gave any gender for Alex, whether Alex was a girl or a boy.
Huh.
Even when she said it was her child, she said it was her child, which is kind of weird. You normally wouldn't say that was my child. You'd say my daughter or my son. So it was interesting that they deliberately obscured what gender Alex is.
okay, Alex, thoughts on Alex?
To that point, one, it was weird that it was her child, no gender specific, but then also just the idea of whoever Alex is got away and just hasn't found him. The weird conspiracy part of me is this is gonna sound real dumb now that I'm just say out loud. Is the polar bear Alex? which that sounds stupid. It's we were on this research boat and it crashed and all this stuff, and it's because people do call their animals their children, and it's in what other circumstance do you
Oh no.
do you
That
not
would be really
say
sad.
son or daughter? It's oh no, it's my child who wandered away on this island. What? So I wondered if it was an animal or a the polar bear, which would be tragically ironic.
Oh.
But she did say if we're lucky, it's one of the bears.
She does know about the bears, and there's more than one.
If she was this desperate to find Alex, the polar bear, I almost feel like she'd be like more excited about the prospect of it. Oh, maybe that's Alex. But also, I think this is worth pointing out. She's torturing Sayid under the assumption that he is one of these others, and she's asking him where Alex is. So that would insinuate that she has some reason to believe that these others have Alex.
But also, she says Alex was my child.
Then maybe Alex is dead.
I
feel like Alex probably went somewhere.
I mean, you point that out, but Sayid does the same thing. He says her name is Nadia, and then after that, he says she's dead. And then at the very end, we find out he doesn't actually know that she's dead. He kind of oversimplified that, presumably because it was too painful to talk about, same way she kept avoiding the question about Alex.
Are you saying the characters parallel each other?
What?
Oh, my goodness. They're both solitary.
Oh. I also felt like it was very sad and ironic, the table's turn of having Sayid having been the torturer and now being the tortured.
Yeah.
Also, torture was like very popular in that era of television.
Well, like he said last week, it was a hot button topic, especially then. Oh shit, there was one more thing actually that she said that I wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts on. She starts telling the story to Sayid about, we were part of a science team, and then he like immediately cuts in a science team armed with rifles, and she just kind of like, and then continues with her story. Did that strike anyone? Like, did that catch your attention at all?
Like, yes, but also no, because no, okay, this is stupid, but my brain went on a rabbit hole, and I was picturing Tarzan, where they have, because they also had rifles on their science expedition, because they had like the soldiers who were there to like, not soldiers, but like the guards who were there to like protect them, and then they had the actual scientists. So my brain was like, yeah, that makes sense. Because it happened in a Tarzan.
Well, no, but refresh my memory on the Tarzan. Like, what was the goal of their expedition?
It was a research expedition, but like, so the professor and Jane were there to like research, but then
the animals, right? I don't remember
the island, I think, and the animals, like anything they could find.
Okay.
And then it was a research thing, and then what's his face, the like guy with the guns, he was like there to try to like colonize or whatever.
He wasn't trying to hunt or anything. Again, I got these are genuine questions. I don't know.
No. He was like presumably there to like protect them, but then he ended up like he wanted to like destroy the jungle and like build things there. Or something.
Interesting. But you're saying you didn't think it was that unreasonable that a science expedition would have rifles, is what you're saying.
No, but my reasoning for that is just Tarzan.
Okay.
So it's not like great reasoning. My logic is not as.
Well, I mean, there were polar bears. There was smarter than that.
But I mean, like that's the thing is right. Like the way she tells the story, they crashed on this island by accident. So like, what was it that they were where were they sailing? Why did they have rifles with them? Were they studying marine life? Were they going to a specific place to study animal life there? I'm just positing these questions to you guys. And
I feel like you still could have needed rifles.
No, I'm not trying to tell you that like they should not have had rifles.
I'm not defending that they should have. I'm just saying it didn't like.
I'm trying to generate
political topics here.
I'm trying to generate like theory crafting, I guess, because this is like the first episode where we get. I mean, besides maybe the pilot, but like where we get so much mythology that like, but it's so vague and it's like it raises so many questions. So it's like I just kind of want to see where you guys' minds go with all these little clues that we have. There's no right or wrong way for those to go, and that's why I'm just like.
I mean, I feel like the rifles are going to end up being a really big deal, but like my mind just nope, that checks out.
Although one of them doesn't work, right? So
she took the firing pin out of one. True. We only see two, so I mean, it's not even like they were like armed to the teeth or anything. So yeah, I'm just saying it seems noteworthy in the context of the episode that Sayid felt the need to point it out, and that the writers felt the need to have him point it out. And then, like I said, it doesn't
and
get
they also had,
acknowledged.
like, sedatives, and maybe the implication is that they weren't actually scientists. Is that
That's
what you're trying
true.
to get at?
That's not what I was trying to get at. But I mean,
It's
that's
a lie.
no, but I mean, that's another option for you. Like, was she being completely truthful? Like, is that the implication of like him pointing out that something doesn't make sense to him, and she just ignores that? Does that mean that she's not telling the whole truth?
I don't know, because I mean, part of me is like, yeah, she warned about the bears now, but also it's like she has to know there's bears on this island.
But she says there's no such thing as monsters.
Mm-hmm. So it's like she knows there's bears, and bears aren't, as far as I know, let alone polar bears,
Right.
aren't indigenous to the island. So
Yeah.
either that ship that wrecked brought those animals to the island, or someone brought those animals to the island,
Or just
or it's purgatory and they've been dead the whole time.
and that suddenly makes it make sense that there are polar bears on the island.
Because there are polar bears in purgatory for sure.
Duh. Yeah.
We all know. It was like,
I mean, that is something that I was going to bring up is like, did these scientists bring the polar bear?
No, I think that's a perfectly reasonable theory, but I'm just throwing out another option. I've noticed in editing all these episodes how often I say the term devil's advocate. I was editing our discussion from last night. I was editing it, and I was like, Jesus, dude. Like 5 different times I said that.
To be fair, it was Sawyer's episode. And that episode makes a lot of sense to be a devil's advocate for.
Yeah.
Because he is the devil.
Well, I need to find I just need to find another way to say that. Like I'm just offering a counter explanation here, I guess. Because I do think that that's a good theory. I do think that makes sense, and I do think I'm not saying that won't eventually be proven right. But another option for how she's aware of the bears is she's simply been there for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
If they were there before that, makes sense that she'd run into them or see them. Now, the interesting thing though is
What's
that
the lifespan of a bear?
I think polar bears live for a while. But I mean, it's a good question because either, like, if we find out that it only lives for, let's say, 20 years, hypothetically, I'm just pulling that out of my ass, that would mean the bears have been there less than 20 years, or that they're breeding. Like that there's enough that they're
Oh.
they're
up to this
Or they
point,
could have
there
been a
only
baby.
been one. They can live up to 30 years in the wild, but most don't make it past 25.
Okay.
There you go. So it could have been baby when she brought it.
Sure. Now she does say now.
Did you see that? I
well,
watched
no,
the episode again.
Great theory.
He was like, yeah, whatever.
No. The thing that I was like processing there is that you said it as in one, but another thing worth pointing out is she says bears plural, and considering she's been there for a long time and may or may not have brought the bears, I think we can trust that she's reliable on that front. I mean, maybe not. She is crazy after all.
I think I just assumed. No, I just assumed that there were other types of bears also.
Oh, okay. So you think there's just one
Subconsciously.
polar bear?
I thought like there was the polar bear, but then there was like I just
Okay.
assumed there were like
Yeah.
island bears.
No, that's fine.
Brown
That makes
bears.
sense.
There's the
something.
grizzly, there's a paddington.
Yeah.
You never know.
A koala.
Although maybe
On the beach.
I just assumed brown bears.
Okay. So, but yeah, the thing that was interesting though with that, because I just made the point that like, well, she has been there 16 years, so if there are bears on the island, she would know about them.
Mhm.
But as he pointed out, when Sayid says the thing about a monster, she says there's no such thing. So one way to read that is that she's never encountered the thing that he's talking about, which would be kind of insane, I feel like, after 16 years on the island. Or she has a different interpretation of what it is and doesn't even...
I assumed that it was the others.
What-
Not that I have
what
a good
is?
reason, but that the monsters were actually just the others. The like voices, whatever.
Well, so Saeed's talking about the thing knocking down the trees, making those screeching,
Yeah, that's fair. That's
weird
fair.
noises.
Yeah,
So that's what he's talking about. So presuming that she has in some way, shape, or form encountered that, be it just hearing it or whatever, what I'm saying is she clearly doesn't attribute the term monster to that.
Mhm.
So it's either that or she just somehow never encountered it. Again, I'm just throwing things out there to like prod your
She
thoughts.
had a line or two before that suggested she referenced an it or something, like she did have some concept of it.
Well, the only thing so far that I think she said that makes it seem like
that previously made it seem like she might have encountered the monsters. She said it killed them all. But now in this episode, we learn that she presumably means the sickness. Like, obviously, she's the one that actually killed them, but she says it took them one by one, referring to the sickness. I'm just throwing out things. Get your brains like thinking about stuff. It's one of those things where I feel like next week you guys will come back if you bother to think about it at all in between. But I feel like because Lucas did that one of the times, like he came back, he was like, "Yeah, I was thinking a lot more about that." And now I think this is one of those episodes where it's like when you kind of sit and think about things, you're like, "Well, wait a minute, maybe this is what was going on there or something." So yeah, it's a little bit. I'm putting you guys on the spot, like right after the episode. Okay, so Sayid and Sayid's flashbacks.
Nadia.
You like Nadia?
Mm-hmm. I like the whole love story. It was fun to get like a full fleshed out love story.
This felt like the most like we're just watching an episode of like a story kind of, as opposed to some of the others are more filling in gaps and we're jumping around in time, always moving forward. But
I felt that way about House of the Rising Sun though. The sixth episode.
Yeah, but even that's like covering that's like a long span of time. This is like a month.
Oh,
like
okay.
this one episode in this guy's life, more almost than anything. Telling us how he got on the plane, just filling in information.
Well, the Rising Sun also kind of filled in the blanks of why are they this way towards each other.
Sure.
Whereas this one's more just backstory.
Well, it's more story. It's more like just a story.
Yeah. And I mean, just like we talked about last week, this is also a flashback where we don't see what he was doing in Australia.
True. Yeah, but sorry, I'm still hung up on what you were saying about backstory versus like revealing anything about his character. I was trying to think like if I agree with that or not. I think it does. Sorry.
Maybe I misspoke a little bit. More so just like what we've seen up till now.
Uh-huh.
Like if I hadn't seen that backstory, like I still feel like I know pretty much as much about Sayid as I did last week.
Okay. Aside
from this sad story, like there's no blank like motivations.
Well, so I think. And the funny thing is in the actual podcast episode that we already recorded on this episode, like I kind of criticized this episode because I don't think it did a good enough job of this. But I think the episode is trying to kind of explain Sayid, specifically Sayid leaving the group. It tries to recontextualize that. I think that's what it's trying to do, because it establishes like, okay, this happened 7 years ago. And then he spent 7 years, we haven't seen this yet, but when he says that he spent the last 7 years holding on to this hope that she's still out there and then pulling away from the people around him. There's also the element of like he says he left last time because of what he did to Sawyer, and I absolutely think that that's part of it. But I think part of why he's so ashamed of that, I mean, he says last week that he made a promise that he would never do that again. And he's very ashamed that he couldn't keep that promise. This kind of shows you why he made that promise and adds to why he would be so ashamed that he couldn't keep it or that he didn't keep it. So again, it's not that I disagree with you. I'm just saying I think the episode was trying to contextualize his character a bit.
Yeah, I feel like this episode is less answering questions that we already had and more setting up things that will.
More, yeah, I would agree.
I do think that part of why it feels like that is I feel like a lot of the other stories were like almost like explaining the bad things about the characters and like making them softer. Whereas with Sayid, like we got this like his darker side instead of because like he always came off as a good character. He never came off as like, so I think it was like giving him more depth, but it wasn't like his like redemption or quasi redemption arc. It was like his like dark past that he's not as like, not that he's like a bad guy, but he's like he's not.
He's the first of our losties we have now seen kill someone in the past. I guess Jack killed the guy on the table, but
in the tent, yeah.
Yeah, but as far as we know, no one else has killed anyone yet.
Yeah.
Son's a nurse now. Did you know?
I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
that's like, cool.
After last week doing what she did for Shannon, like in this one you see her with the aloe or whatever for the guy's rash.
Yes.
I guess we could talk about that. you got to meet. I think Sullivan is that character's name, the guy with the rash. I think was it last week that I was talking about how sometimes
we're meeting new people.
you meet the background people. They're like, oh yeah, they've been around. Yeah.
Yeah, there was that one guy who had like blonde hair. It was like in the back with like a plaid shirt on. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe he'll show up again of some time. He was like in the back for the golf scene.
Did he have lines earlier on? Are you talking about the Ethan guy?
No, he had like plaid. It's like not the Ethan guy. He had like.
It sounds like you're just picking up on an extra.
He looked, well, maybe
Distinct extra.
But it does feel like with that and with some of the other stuff, with the slightly different flashback, with now bringing in a new character and feels like we're kind of turned a corner into a different like arc of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this one's a big deal because like the first 8. I feel like the first 4 is like kind of establishing the format of the show, and then the next 4, it's like, okay, these are the characters. Yeah, we're learning who the characters are, and then now we're moving into the third phase, which is like, what's kind of the deal with this? Like what's been going on here? I've got nothing else, so just if you guys have anything.
I just thoroughly enjoyed the Nadia storyline. I thought that was every line of that was fantastic.
Yeah,
it's like really well done.
Yeah, they
really beautiful story.
Yeah.
Even like the moment when he first sees her. It's very sweet.
Yeah. I think she does a good job of like with so little screen time of just getting you completely on board with that character and sympathizing. Oh, I guess I was going to ask that a bit ago. He tells Danielle that Nadia's dead, and then it's not until near the end that we find out that he doesn't know that for sure. So were you waiting? Like, were you?
Yeah, I was
dreading?
totally waiting for her. Yeah, I was not excited for that.
Yeah.
But I am thrilled to find out that he actually doesn't know for sure.
Yeah.
So I hope he's wrong.
We just haven't seen it yet.
I also thought I felt like the whole waiting for 7 years and like having it like pull away from. No, I'm trying to figure out how to word what I'm saying. I'm a hopeless romantic, so that was just a very sad way of looking at it for me. Like the idea of it, like waiting for her, and like that could be like romantic, but then the idea that it's like just sad on so many levels.
Yeah.
And I like really wanted her to like be there, but like she's not, and that's sad because he can't run into her now.
Unless it's purgatory.
That would be fantastic
she would
right
see
now.
him in the next life.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
She did say that. You find me in the next life, if not this one.
Oh, is there an episode where she comes back? Please tell me she comes back. Okay, I'm fine. I really liked their storyline. Okay.
What I will say is, I mean, because I don't feel like this is a huge spoiler. You'll see more of his backstory in the 7 years in between. So it's like, unless you think that he was just flat out lying to Russo, like if you take what he's saying as being truthful at the end, he's saying that he's held on to the hope for 7 years. That means that he doesn't know that she's dead, and that he's been, I don't know if it necessarily means that he's been looking for her, but
No, I know. I was fantasizing that there would be one day when they're off the island and they.
Sure, yeah.
But obviously, no. So.
I mean, stick around to the end of the series. Maybe they get off the island, and maybe that's how it ends.
Or maybe she shows up. Like she'll crash on the island at some point.
Yeah, I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Michael's parenting in this episode?
Yeah.
He's trying.
Is he though? I mean, not. I mean, he is until golf's around.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do.
I thought it was very fair of him to not let his son go hunting. That was a really smart choice, and then to not pay attention was not such a great choice.
Exactly. Feelings about that, Locke and Walt?
My brother used to do throwing knives, and it stressed me out really bad. So that was my thought, was just like, this kid does not need to be playing with throwing knives right now.
I mean, I feel like the thing with throwing knives is the person throwing it is the safest person. It's everyone else.
I just was always afraid somebody was going to like accidentally,
Well, it's interesting because it's picking up a plot point that has already kind of been explored. So it's like, is this now it finally getting going, or is it just another like temporary thing? Because it's like, because like the first couple episodes, like it was kind of really quick, and then Michael shot it down, and then we haven't seen anything about it until now. So
yeah,
like, is it now at this point picking that thread back up?
I think that's a good way of putting it. Because like, yeah, like he's hanging out with Locke the first couple days, and Michael's like not into it, and then Michael goes on the hunt to try and get some time to interact with Locke. But he doesn't. Beyond that, he hasn't really. That's kind of where we left that. Again, keep in mind we've been watching this at a certain pace, but in the context of the show, it's only been, I don't know, a little more than a week after that. So yeah, this episode's kind of reestablishing that like Walt is still looking up to Locke, wants to be friends with him, wants to learn things from him. Question is, yeah, how is Michael going to feel about you letting him do this and all that stuff?
Yeah, I feel like it's not a great. I would not be happy about my child hanging out with Locke.
Yeah, I mean specifically because he's a stranger, and yeah, the knife thing without the parent being aware of that, probably not.
And Locke's bad vibes.
Well, there's some debate on that, but
I have bad.
Yeah,
vibes
no, yeah, fair.
My bad vibes.
Okay.
Who is a good babysitter on the island? Who is your list right now?
I would trust Kate, son.
She's a fugitive.
Yeah, but I have fully established that I 100% do not think she actually did anything wrong.
Okay.
So her son. I would have said
Claire
Michael
fell
until
asleep on
now.
the job this week, so Claire's not a good choice.
How old's the child?
Well, I think Walt age, right? Like 10. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I trust Hurley with him.
Yeah, there you go.
Kid have a great day, I think.
Jack's a little too busy, but
Yeah, I
other
wouldn't
than
do
that,
Jack.
yeah.
I think Kate and son would be my first choices.
Not Charlie either. If you knew about the heroin, right?
Yeah. Well, just Charlie because I think
Okay.
he'd be too busy like having fun.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to sign this off real quick. We're getting kicked out of here. That was episode 9, Solitary. We're gonna come back for episode 10, Raised by Another. I would now like to give a special thank you to the currently active donors. These include candidate number 90, Ben Ward, candidate number 108, Jeffrey Winslow, candidate number 69, Brian Phillips, candidate number 32, Chuck Boyd, and candidate number 341, Hans. If you too would like to become a candidate, you can do so for as little as $1. One-time or recurring donations can be set up on Ko-fi.com/candlepun or Patreon.com/candlepun. A donation of any amount will get you credited in this podcast and added to the candidate wall, which will be displayed in all video versions of the episodes of this podcast from that point forward, even once you're no longer donating. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the multiple people that have donated equipment and resources that are used in the production of this podcast. These include Mary Mullins, Brandon Huth, Charles Huth, William McMahon, and Charlene McMahon. Until next time, namaste and good luck. Hello. To like this video, click the thumbs up. Or, if there has been an incursion by the hostiles, click the thumbs down. To leave feedback, enter a comment below. To be notified when more videos arrive, click the circle and then select the notification bell. To view previous content from this channel, click either of the two boxes.